I just want to say, Letty and Neil, it's been incredible to work with you both. You're such a bridge from the traditional to this Web3 regenerative finance DeFi world. And your experience is profound, especially Neil, with you in the Common Ground Cooperative. I highly recommend everyone checks out Common Ground Co-op, as the model is really exciting for the future that we're trying to build. So I'd love to turn it back over to you, Tina, to just highlight what you're doing with the Microbe Heroes NFTs, how these NFTs work, and why it's an exciting case study for the Seeds community and Regen Civics.
For sure. The microbe heroes are here to do great and small works. Basically, this concept of how this NFT works has been with me from the beginning of my Web3 journey. Just because of the way NFTs carry this inherent value that we get to step into with our cooperative models, and we really get to explore that. So that's what it's meant to do. It's interesting that there's a pathway within this NFT that will fund up to 5 aligned projects with 40% of the revenue generated, while also preserving LaLa Gardens as a natural farm into legacy through the co-op model. We'll also do and strengthen programs such as ameliorating homelessness, protecting the ecosystems by which we're all nourished, and creating the kind of trade routes and ecosystems that we would all like to be part of as our own gardens and our own projects. So that's it.
Yeah, that was a great synopsis. I'll add a little bit of color if it's okay. What's really exciting to me about this opportunity is, again, the tie back to the tangible, physical, real that's happening here. So when people are interacting with LaLa, buying membership, attending our events, lending money, etc., they're now getting this digital asset that is a reflection of their contribution, and that asset will evolve over time per their contributions. So now we have a way to track people's direct impact and reward them accordingly. And of course, the exciting thing with these NFTs is that you can sell them on the secondary market and now actually get a return on your direct investment in the cause or the creator behind the NFT. So in the Microbe Hero situation, Tina is the artist, the creator, and LaLa Gardens is the cause. And as she mentioned, she's not only fundraising with the NFTs to support LaLa Gardens Co-op, but also issues in the Fort Collins area. And she's planning to give 40% of the revenue generated, which the goal is 500,000. So she's giving a large chunk back to aligned organizations like Permatours that have an agreement with the Microbe Heroes to show their impact, to track their efforts. So it's an exciting feedback loop. So with that being said, I'll dive into the presentation that we have to show you guys. Can you guys see my screen? All right. So LaLa Gardens, it is a demonstration garden, an artist residency, and a hub for regenerative applications of Web3 technology. What is it? It's a 1-acre garden and an LCA in Fort Collins functioning as a living model for regenerative urban gardening, engaged through playful stewardship, balanced relationships, experiential learning, and the application of natural law. We shift from exploitative paradigm into one of reciprocity, successional evolution, abundance, and interrelationship with the natural world and with each other. Our focus is developing a catalyst hub for regeneration with welcoming, fun, and functional experiences that make any community we call home interconnected as an ecosystem. Why is this so important? Because it's supporting natural systems of regeneration and redundancy. It's the avenue by which we come together to understand our place within these systems, offering us a key to nothing less than the gate to abundant gardens, starting here at LaLa. So we're practicing cooperative values together, which gives visibility to the process of stewarding a regenerative place while implementing and catalyzing cultural shifts towards thrivability. We're using Web3 to support cooperative living, natural farming, decentralized governance and finance, and systems that reward contributors driving impact. LaLa Gardens shows rooted applications of regenerative practices. This slide, we've already covered some of this. Here's our Web3 applications. I'll share the link to this deck so you can dig into these, but you can read more clicking on all these different links to see how LaLa Gardens and Web3 is being used to catalyze this kind of regenerative action. As far as revenue streams, there's a lot that we're planning to do as a co-op, and a lot of it is grounded in what's already been done here. So you can see we are offering memberships that offer people a variety of what is here to offer, including educational curriculums, online and in person, events and retreats, products cultivated here by members, and rentals or guests visiting. So the focus areas for these offerings are on natural farming, composting, the economy of ecology, soil building with goats, working with fermented clays, herbalism, Web3, women's and men's circles, healing and self-care, galleries, poetry, fashion shows, movie nights, marketplaces, ceremony, garden games, and more. There's so much that this place has to offer, especially because of the members that are making it up thus far. We have a pretty detailed financial projection sheet, which I've linked here. And again, you'll receive this deck to check this out further. But I extrapolated the most relevant numbers, being net revenue, cost of goods sold, operating expenses, and then cash flow before loans and cash flow after loans. So you can see that the story we're telling here is by year 3, we'll be in the positive after paying off the loans that we need. So what do we need exactly? Right now, we need $169,000 to avoid the foreclosure of this property. And we're accepting loans through Mainevest, which is a platform that the Common Ground Cooperative used to receive loans from lenders. And we're also selling memberships products, and we have tickets available to our 3-day cooperative grand opening that's at the end of the month. So if you can't join us in person, we'll have a bunch of online offerings or ways to tune in or join via Zoom to take part in the conversation. So the collateral on the loans made is this property, which conservatively is worth $700,000. And after paying off the debt, the plan is for Tina to transfer ownership to LaLa Gardens Cooperative. So how can you participate? We have a plethora of membership offerings, voting and non-voting. So you can read more on the website as well about all that is here to offer. Again, thus far at the start, I'm sure that offering list is going to expand as we get more and more owners and members involved. And here is the flyer we created. And as you can see, the focus of this grand opening is how this place can serve as a headquarters for seeds and all the DAOs connected to seeds. You know, Permatours, Regen Garden, Regen Living, Regen Civics. We want this to be a place for this community and this ecosystem we're a part of to get together in real life and also online. And that is our presentation. So I didn't highlight this, but something that's really attractive to me here is the development of LaLa coin, which will be a rainbow seed or one of the local seeds. So our plan at the event at the end of the month is having like a think tank type conversation, hybrid in person and online, so we can really nail down how we're going to drive adoption of the LaLa coin and participate as one of the first local seeds. And Tina already has products available here for seeds, eventually LaLa coin and permatokens, from honeys and herbal blends to a kombucha starting kit and a bunch of really interesting fertilizer products from her farm. So if you're curious about that, you can ask her questions. But now I'd love to open it up to any of you who have any comments, questions, and want anything clarified for us.
I would love to hear from Letty again and Neil just briefly for the recording aspect of this, if that's okay.
Regarding
just I would like to hear what they're bringing, like again, Neil's experience with Common Grounds and Letty's functioning as a kind of a legal steward.
Okay, I'm just gonna flow with that. So we are forming a cooperative a real estate cooperative, and I will say that these were not even legal just as a few years ago, because you had to be an accredited investor to collectively invest in real estate. And the Jobs Act in 2012 enabled legislation to be formed a few years later that allowed people who are non-accredited, basically non-wealthy people, to collectively invest in real estate. So suddenly the cooperative, which is kind of this very granola thing that only, hippies did, suddenly now becomes a very viable real estate model that I foresee can really be a powerful tool in gentrification, versus where the community is watching all their properties get bought out by the accredited investors. Now they actually can participate in collectively buying out properties. And the beauty of it being a cooperative is that now you collectively invested and own the property. You can collectively co-create and develop it and nurture it and put in the programming that your community wants. So all these days of like the residents of a neighborhood complaining about all these buildings having tenants they don't want or programming they don't want, now they can actually participate in making that happen. So Common Grounds is one of the first is probably still kind of the first to do that, and that was 4 years ago. And because this is so new, because it involves so much of a herding of cats level of involvement, that it's still the only one that exists. And so LaLa Gardens would be one of the only other ones that are creating. And sort of once you sort of make this easy for people, I think we're going to see neighborhoods doing several of these in every neighborhood. And then not only that, but we're also bringing in, cooperative or decentralized governments. So when you talk about financing, well, what better partners than decentralized finance? And so just the idea of being in decentralized financing, the cooperative, for instance, with the Common Grounds project, it was like the founders were already saying, we're doing enough as it is, creating a new form of governance, a new form of financing with collective crowdfunding and everything. That the idea of bringing in tokens and a local currency was just like way too much brain damage to handle that much new thinking. So thankfully, the work they've done over the 4 years has made it really much easier for us to take the lessons they learned. And then with our group, we can bring in tokens. We can bring in a local currency model. And not only that, we can bring in what I would call this, what is cooperative governance? How do you actually get people to collectively get along, make decisions together? Like that's never been, it's like under domination culture, which is most of the way the world runs, unfortunately. It's you don't have to make decisions, they're all made for you. Well, in this sort of a decentralized world, as we're finding in with seeds and DHOs and DAOs, now we actually, citizens get to be part of decision-making of the governance, of the system, of the ecosystem. This is all new. How do you do that? How do you do that without actually having 10 different people with strong opinions trying to make a decision together? And as you've heard many times, well, at least I've heard many times, decision-making isn't a natural part of a DAO. It's like, who makes decisions in DAO? It's like, it's very contradictory. So we have a whole program of how to do cooperative governance. We had our first orientation on Tuesday, and it is being led by one of the top nonviolent communication, mediation, conflict resolution consultants in the world. So her name is Maria Arpa, so she's leading that. And not only that, we got a grant from a group called Light Comes From It to actually do this 9-month training. They granted us $25,000 under the stipulation that it is majority Black Indigenous people of color. So that's the other thing that we're bringing in, is that if this is going to be a model of society, it has to be a model of society in terms of like people and what represents the world, because LaLa is actually a model for the world, not just for Fort Collins, Colorado. So because of the grant requirements and because of the vision of Tina to actually have this be a global representation of the people, that this governance, this 12-person governance is majority women. That's another thing. Tina can talk about how important partnerism is, which is the balance of feminine, masculine energy as opposed to domination culture, which is mostly masculine. So we're bringing in partnerism and this diversity. So it's majority women, majority Black Indigenous people of color, and 1/4 of the group, or 1/4 of the steward circle is Indigenous. So we're bringing all that to LaLa Gardens, integrating all of it, and we're not even talking about everything, right? That's just the tip of the iceberg. So Letty, what do you want to add?
Well, that's a lot. It's the tip of the iceberg, but it's really how we are just coming together and gathering all the aspects that are really important in this refi, new paradigm in economics, new paradigm in how we do farming, how we do communications, how do we do life in general. So this is where I said I really like about this community land-based initiative and project. We are all gathering together and having all these aspects in mind, right? Because it's not one aspect of it. To really have something that is successful, that can gather, yes, people minds and people bodies and people's emotions, we really need something with real value. And that's what we are bringing here. Because, well, in my background, I'm a lawyer by background, but I also very focused on new forms of innovation, with new startups, new ways really of doing business and doing life. So that's what I like about this. We are implementing in real land, in real life, what we are speaking about. So yes, that's the thing about consensus, government, and DeFi or NFTs. They are really valuable as long as we bring the value into this kind of new structures. We don't need to do it theoretically. This is like the transdisciplinarity of crypto economics. I am also in a group which is all the time speaking about how this new paradigm is transdisciplinary. And I think the really good thing about this membership structure we bring into the limited cooperative association, which is like a really good structure for a DAO type governance in Web3, is this, like we are thinking about future roles as well. This research PhD that Anna Lucy Smitsman did within also the CS ecosystem, she's working with CS ecosystem. We are applying that into real life. We are coming up with these roles and we are giving members and people the possibility to step into their own energies and say, okay, I want to contribute into here because I feel this way and this is my role in life. And we are adapting those to a legal structure, to a community land project, and to an NFT. So that's the beauty of it, like combining all the disciplines into this and bringing this to life. It is not easy. It's not going to be easy to have all the things like coming down into a single essence, but that's how we are working towards this. And I'm happy we are doing this way.
Yeah, I want to add in the Regenerative Living Institute, who is actually a founding board director. And they're a 501c3 that defines what is regenerative. And you know, there's a lot of like, what is regenerative? Everyone's kind of collectively making up their own definitions. But like they have actually established themselves to help define that, and not only define the standards of what is regenerative and sort of perform like an evaluation, but also provide something called the regenerative community development standards. So like, how do you actually do regenerative development, and what is the process by doing that as well? So we have that group helping us hold us accountable that what we're calling regenerative actually is.
Absolutely. I would love to show some of the membership offerings at some point. I'll open up the floor to any additional questions, but definitely can cover that as well if there's space.
Yeah, I can jump in here, Sid, with a few reflections on that. Yesterday, I was in a conversation with Rufus Pollock, who runs an organization called Life Itself. So we had a conversation with Life Itself yesterday. And they are also kind of in the Web3 space, and they were asking questions about the DAO, right? Why do you need a DAO? You know, why didn't you just get a traditional organization, a startup, you know, corporation up and running, or just stay within the community context? So we had a very interesting conversation on why do you want to dive deeper into this? You know, why do you want to get towards sort of an action mode where people actually can hold on to you know, engaging much deeper than just at a higher level, you know, as a volunteer. Now you can grab on to a whole roles and structures within the DAO, right? So for me, you know, what came out of this conversation is the aspect of the collective is so important, you know, the collective sense making that's happening, the collective investing, you know, the patterns that we are trying to, you know, figure out in these new spaces. And for me, this is kind of the shift now from the game A to game B thinking, right? You are the perfect examples of how that's even possible, right? And others really are clueless, right? When I was in Marseille at this conference, a lot of startups there, and really sort of the interest in how do you run a startup in a different way, you know, that is more inclusive, that helps us to get together and, you know, reach things that we otherwise couldn't. You know, it's really present. So it was interesting to see that. And here in the LaLa Garden context, for me, it's great to see some of the patterns now coming to fruition, right? And the only purpose of the DAO here is really to see this as a vehicle to replicate that pattern, right? To say we came together here, you know, these are some standard patterns that we believe work for us and might work, you know, for the adjacent possible, might work for other gardens, right? And they can now take this and very easily replicate that. And then you create the network, then you create the ecosystem. And that's really where the power comes in. You know, it's not the individual player, you know, trying to struggle, trying to survive here, right? But it's really us together in these much wider ecosystems. So really looking forward how that sort of evolves and where we're taking this next.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I mentioned this at the beginning, but it's such a rare opportunity that I would be invited to earn equity and ownership in a property in a business without contributing normal capital. That is so rare. I mean, Joy and I, we've been visiting so many different properties, meeting so many landowners, and some of them will tease the idea, but like, this is real. You know, we open the bank account, we're doing the bylaws, the steps, making membership available. And yeah, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I'm hoping that through serving as a case study, it's not going to be once in a lifetime. It's going to be hopefully something that that our society starts to adopt, so that we're doing more of what you mentioned, Joaquin, which is sharing the responsibility, being in it together, not all being on one individual person. And so the membership offerings here you can find on lalagardens.org. You can see there's a list of access to event space, access to the events that we host, access to space to produce, to make different food products, to create different items, access to the apothecary and our media contacts. Tina is a writer. She actually has a degree in writing, and she's been a part of a plethora of publications, garden sharing and training, you know, working together on a particular plot on site. And then we have garden boxes that we're wanting to offer, including compost toilet subscription boxes and natural farming boxes. So there's an opportunity, as Tina mentioned, to collaborate with the trade route members or business partners who want to share our audiences and collaborate around curating these subscription boxes. And then we're developing a nomad pad so that our friends who want to come by or have a tiny home, want access to amenities, can blend in here, and we'll have a formal process for that. And you can see the different classes of membership where everyone would start as a community member, and then they would apply to access these other kind of member types. So yeah, again, this is just the start. As we continue to build our ownership base and our member base, this list of offerings is just going to continue to grow and grow and grow. So wanted to add some color there.
So let me come in. This is Terry. And first of all, Neil, I really appreciated you describing how you're using the Jobs Act to do this new kind of real estate program and how that could replace gentrification. That's a really interesting model. I think I should introduce you to my friend, Mark Tognati, who is also using the ESOP legislation to allow lots of small businesses all become part of one ESOP, so they all share ownership in the system. I think that could be a partnership with what you're doing with real estate. But I want to come zero in on, okay, this is going to be a cooperative. So that means that there's going to be a business, and there's going to be lots of business activities, as you were just kind of outlining, and there's going to be income. And then at the end of the year, there's either going to be extra income called profit, or there won't be. Now, my guess is there won't be any distribution to the cooperative members for quite a while all the debt's being paid off. Is that correct?
Yeah, LaLa, you want to answer this? And there's also stipulations about how much of that profit is used towards the cooperative in general versus dividends.
Yeah, so this is a good opportunity to share the different loan options, which
Okay.
I'm actually going to paste a form that I created as a call to action or as a next step for those of you who are interested in supporting as members or lenders or both. So the idea, if you click in the form, or I can also share my screen, actually, I can just articulate it here. So we're offering lenders the opportunity to loan money at 0, 3, or 6%, and to be paid back in 6 months, 1 year, or 3 years time. So everyone will be paid depending on what they choose. And then as far as earnings for the co-op members, we are striving to set in motion some exciting new kind of systems here, where like the residents would be curated to nurture their craft and create a project that feeds their soul's purpose and also gives back to the collective. So the idea is that we'd be bringing in people here who can use the infrastructure here to generate revenue that then could cover rent. So giving stipends to these residents. And then of course, ideally, all the co-op members would be paid as soon as possible, but it is really definitely contingent upon the loan agreements that we have. I don't know if you want to add anything, Letty or Neil or Tina, but that is a summary of how we have it structured right now.
Lily, can you share a certain percentage of profits once everything's paid off that goes to the cooperative versus to individual members?
What's the difference between cooperative and individual members?
Well, like say for instance, you made $100,000 in profit.
Yeah.
That, like under some cooperative law, 50% of that goes back to the cooperative for operations or improvements, and then 20% of that can be distributed to the members based on their patronage. So if like someone didn't do anything, they wouldn't get any of that. And if someone did like 80% of all the work of all the volunteers, they would get 80% of that.
Well, there's different ways you can structure it, but that's one way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, like I think the main point is to stress that there are like several ways to contribute and to be into this cooperative. So as long as you want to conduct business, participate, you will be choosing your level of involvement. Maybe you want to conduct more business and to be this trade hero member. So you will be paid back in all the capital you put it, but in all the forms of capital. But as long as you come into a Mainevest investment member, let's say, you will be paid back with the interest you choose into your opportunity. So you can be both, or you can decide you want to be only this kind of financial investor through Mainevest. But you will be a community member too, and you can decide how much or how many businesses you want to conduct, how will you be involved into the cooperative. So that's the beauty of it. You can be a community member, you can evolve to a trade road member, a hero member, but you can also be an ally member. So you will be investing and loaning through this Mainevest opportunity, and you will be paid back your interest as you choose when you come into this opportunity.
Okay, so the other thing is that I thought somebody mentioned that a person could, instead of paying rent, could be doing work in exchange for rent. Is that something else that you're considering?
That's something we will be evolving into the agreements with the membership classes. So we are considering several ways of converting and distributing capital revenues, right? Because we decide that members can be contributing in several ways. And as long as the cooperative is thriving, we will be deciding on the best and more fair way to conduct businesses. So we are deciding on several ways on how these members will be contributing to the cooperative. Yes.
Okay.
But this is like an evolving roadmap, and it will be defined in this also membership categories.
So Terry, just to add a note, and you guys will see this sheet if you click on the presentation, I added in the chat, and I'll follow up via email. These are all the different revenue streams here. So we have NFTs, people lending money, rentals, ideally visitors and not residents in an ideal world, all these different kinds of educational offerings, immersions, curriculums, retreats, events, garden products, etc. So in an ideal world, this is how we would be generating revenue, not through residents paying rent. We'd love for residents to get paid to focus on their craft in a way that feeds them and their passions and also serves the collective. So the idea would be that this place would support their revenue so that they could cover the cost of rent. We obviously have to cover the cost of rent, but we're trying to curate a residency of people that can support these different streams. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Enough.
And just for illustration, you know, we do have an artist in residence, Rafe Van Putten, who is a documentarian and a videographer. And not only has he helped me create curriculum from the class I taught in South Dakota for natural farming, so he's already created the curriculum that hasn't been published yet, but he also used his residency to create a poetry full-length feature film that has been shown several times in major theaters here in Fort Collins, and has been linking different kinds of organizations together in that very same kind of the ecosystem that we're supporting. So, you know, yeah, so just wanted to bring that into it.
Yeah, it's been really fun hanging out with Rafe and watching some of the films that he's done, especially focusing on Tina's educational offerings around natural farming and indigenous microorganisms and facultative anaerobic bacteria. I feel like I've learned so much and I've only been here a few weeks, but I'm super excited about what he's doing to support this co-op and also serving as like the kind of resident that we want to attract here. So. Yeah. And one other thing is that our website is about to be linked to our bank account. We're waiting on our bank password from Bank of America in the mail. So they're super traditional still. Once we have that, we'll be able to connect our site to our bank account through Stripe and be able to process membership there. And Neil, how close are we to Mainevest accepting loans?
I think Letty's better able to answer that one.
Okay.
Yes, we are opening this proposal opportunity community project very soon. That's why we need all the regulations and all the legalities also in place. We want to comply with this innovative way of doing businesses with this DAO NFT in mind, but we also are providing a bridge through traditional investors to say we come in here and our money is safe and we have the security that this is like a regulated also crowdfunding opportunity. So that's what Mainevest provide, and we want to be sure that all our agreements are in place and all is secure and safe in the platform. But it's gonna be super soon. We'll be uploading the investors agreement, and when you come to Mainevest platform, you will be choosing the interest you want to be paid back. And that's the that's the legalities for our investors, members, community members, as you would like to be called, really, because we are opening this. We are very diverse, so very soon. I would say super soon. So stay tuned.
Super soon.
I mean, probably hopefully next week.
Yes. It looks like Reiki's joining us. That's exciting. Any other questions before we do some next steps, some calls to action? Welcome, Reiki. Good to see you. Good to see your pick. We're about to dive into next steps unless there's any further questions. Cool. So as I mentioned, I created a form and I'm going to share the link again along with my calendar invite. I am considered right now the alchemist in residence supporting with these fundraising efforts. So if anyone wants to dig into the numbers or ask more questions, I'm happy to connect with you. You can book time with me there. And then the form that I just put in the chat is a form that's inviting you to help shape this headquarters for seeds and the seeds ecosystems and the DAOs taking part. We want to shape it with you. We want it to serve as like a think tank, a space for people to come and join us in real life and of course online as well. And you can also see in this form questions around how you want to take part in LaLa Gardens moving forward. So I really would love it if you guys could take the time to fill that out and share any feedback on the presentation today. And then we'll circulate this recording and see what happens. But we have apparently a little bit longer than a few weeks. We also have Brandon and Leah of Regen Living, as Neil mentioned, helping us with navigating the situation with the foreclosure. So we have some support there, but time is of the essence. And this is when we're calling in people from Seeds to support. I feel like Tina has been so incredibly involved, and I want to see this. I want to see this happen for her and for the entire community at large. So I really appreciate everyone joining us today and seeing this vision that we're holding, being a part of it.
So we talked a little bit about the loan. Just one fact about the loan, it's 169,000. And that is to secure ownership of a property that's worth very conservatively $700,000. So it's a very low risk investment. We're just trying to not have Tina lose what's probably worth $700,000 to $800,000 because of a $169,000 debt.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that in, because it feels, it just feels like it's a gift for us. And it's a gift to me as well, but it's a gift for us because we now have this we've already done the hydrology, right? Where we've got the water stored. And now what do we do with this resource as a community? So buying back the property at just what we owe the banks, and then really working together to figure out how we want to support other projects with what's left over, or how we want to just spread and slow the water, basically. So I'm excited for that next iteration, but first we've got to take care of
Well, I just want to clarify. So the property is probably worth 800,000.
Oh yeah.
Tina's probably Tina is agreeing to like sell the property for 700 to the cooperative. So what would happen is with the 169,000 in debt, Tina would transfer the ownership and be basically the friendly bank that is lending $531,000 to the cooperative. And so being creative in terms of like she's not going to foreclose on the cooperative, but how can the cooperative use its revenue to pay back now that Peanuts giving up $500,000 in the short term to actually save the property. So you eventually pay Tina back. But the idea is that this is all low risk because the value of the property is already there. It just needs 169,000 to access it.
Yes, I would love to show up the LaLa Gardens wiki for examples, because we have all the information there, like our principles, values, all the people that are contributing. So maybe it would be super helpful to have this on the screen for some minutes, 1-2 minutes, and we can just maybe wrap up after this.
Sure.
So this is like the demonstration. We have a super beautiful render of what LaLa really is, a 1-acre garden. We have here all the videos, the documentation we have been showing, the steps for this kind of transition. And you can also find here all the information we have been providing. This is like our roadmap to get this opportunity going and all these projects successful. So you can check this up in here. We are regenerative finance. We are developing also in conjunction with Gitcoin grant with all the NFT harmony ecosystem. And we have here the people that are also stewarding all these efforts, right? So if you, Tina, want to say 2 words for each minute, if you want to do that.
For sure. I mean, this really describes my own roadmap, but it's the roadmap that we all get to key into. These are all relational based stewards of their own projects, people I've had relationships with for many years. I consider them part of the trade route. I've just recently met Dr. Leah Gibbons, but I'm super excited to, and it's just, we have to go relational based. I say go at the speed of trust is how we go forward is to make sure that we're doing the systems, because if we do that, then we care about the people we're supporting and we want to see each other succeed. And that comes through relationship, and relationship comes through trust, and doing that over a pattern of time creates the coherence that is what community is. So yeah, let's sing a coherent song together.
I had no idea my face was going to show up there. Cool.
This was the surprise event for the call.
Nice. Cool.
Oh yeah, what year was LaLa Gardens founded? We never actually saw a little question mark. Forgot to throw that.
That's funny. Well, before it was LaLa Gardens, it was Urban Acre Commons, and that's what I first discovered the blockchain with. And I had this whole plan to do something similar, but it just was kind of premature. So it was just one day sitting in the garden, maybe, I don't know, I'd say 7 or 8 years ago. I someone was here and they just didn't want to leave. We have events here. And they were just lingering. And they said, I don't know what it is about this place. I don't want to leave. It's like being in La Land. And right then, since I had just kind of had my first disappointment in Web3, I was like, okay, we're doing it. We're going to have a playful entrance into the world again as a garden in which you can come and play and rewild and touch down on a regenerative place that is going to give you the kind of soil and the kind of diversity that's required for us to, step into abundance.
And along that theme, the artist in residence here, Rafe, has planned a Neverland night for the last event as a part of our fundraising co-op opening weekend. And there really is like this Tinkerbell vibe that I get here from Tina and that I feel when I'm here, walking the goats and all these mystical little ecosystems, like fairy areas. Like there is this magical element here that I hope that you all get to experience in some capacity, but it's special. So, oh, what is Letty showing? California. Yeah. Los Angeles. I don't know.
Coming, right?
That is synchronicity, La La Land in my
Oh,
back.
it said La
La
La.
La Land in my back. Yes, that's a
That's great.
surprise event here.
Awesome, guys. Well, any last questions before we sign off? Cool. Well, feel free to book more time, reach out. So grateful to have you all here. It's really been a gift to be a part of this project and to be weaving with you all. So thank you. Feel free to unmute if you want to say any words, but I'll see you on the other side, I'm sure.
See you on the other
By the way,
side.
Yeah?
did you leave it open for anyone who has any final questions?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give it a moment. Anyone have any
questions?
Please.
Of course.
Just want to make sure we have that covered.
Yeah, we are here together, actually. So.
Hey, hi.
Hi.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much for everyone here. Wow. Just giving it the floor a bit. But I had a question on to with the NFTs and what are you guys' plans and how you guys be marketing it out?
Do you want to speak to that, Tina?
Yes, I think I would like to speak to that because we created it, of course, just right on the eve of the crash of the things that happened in the crypto world, and so. But the beauty of NFTs, I think, is in the fact that we get to create a new sort of valuation that's based on regenerative systems, and so those projects that bring in non-fungible we're on the cusp of that, right? So it felt almost right that we were going to start over from zero to be able to show the regenerative function of the NFT, which means I think we're not going to be marketing it quite the same. Usually it comes through a white paper and you create a lot of buzz about that and a lot of anticipation, and there's a little bit of tricksterism with that, and I think we as a community identified that the NFT can be an incredible vehicle for actually onboarding to the community. So that if we're gifting NFT to people who want to have membership at LaLa Gardens, then suddenly we're actually articulating and recognizing the way people are coming together in real life. And if you look closely at the NFT, it's got this interesting function where we can articulate our projects and get them supported and funded even through the actual NFT. So why would it not be applicable to a community that exists? So just the fact that we would be even receiving an NFT, I think the real value in the marketing is going to come from us putting that NFT into action and into practice and really just paying it the time to create the community that's required for it.
Thanks, Joaquin. And also to add to that, Jameson, yeah, we're really heavily focusing on marketing all that LaLa Gardens Cooperative has to offer. And then again, when you're opting into that membership, you're going to then be asked for your wallet address to receive the Microbe Heroes NFT. And if you don't have a wallet address and you need education, we'll provide that. But it's really centered around LaLa Gardens Co-op. And then your onboarding is through the NFT. And then how we track membership, how we reward members is through the NFT.
Awesome, thank you. If you guys need any help with the marketing aspect, next month we're dropping our collection, our NFT collection, and we're doing a 24-hour broadcast. We're interviewing creatives, artists, musicians, sharing their story, and also to plug in their project. We have a little bit of time in our broadcast that we can talk about after this call here. And yeah, if you guys ever need like a second look at things and how you guys want to like bring this out to the masses, there's projects they're fundraising a project like within a night, like $500,000. Like this is happening, you know. And GameStop, they just released out the marketplace last week within about 10 days, and they surpassed Coinbase's marketplace that's been around for 5 months. So there are like routes where you're able to get like individuals like, wow, you know what LaLa Garden is doing, that's something that I've already been doing my entire life. It's just that then it had the accessibility to that opportunity to support something incredible like this. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing, and we'll be in touch afterwards.
Thanks, Jameson.
And yeah, just to add, it's not necessarily restricted or only to LaLa Gardens Cooperative. It's really a standalone, and I'm welcome to any marketing that comes our way. That would be incredible. Thank you.
Totally. Awesome, friends. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate y'all. Feel free to unmute if you want to make some weird noises. And yeah, it's really great to be here with you all. Thanks again.
Wait, Mark's just joining.
Mark
Thank
Epstein coming in at the end. Oh my God.
Mikey also asked a little bit about deadlines. So, so can somebody offer some wisdom?
Yeah, this is a good time for him to ask any questions he already had.
Hey, Mark. We were just all about to leave, and then we saw your name, and so we're staying.
I thought that it started at 4, but I realize now it started at 3.
All good.
Hello, all of you lovely faces.
Hey, Mark. We're gonna share this recording out, so you don't worry, you haven't missed much. But yeah, you said Reiki asked a question. I didn't see that. I saw Jameson asked about the deadline, which I addressed.
Hey, Mark,
also about the deadline. 'Cause I would love to know when that is, because I want to know when I'm putting out a broadcast for this, and I'd also love to invest. So I would love to know when the time is to do that by.
Right now. Yeah, so what I shared earlier is that Brandon and Leah of Regen Living have been supporting us with communicating with the banks and negotiating extensions. So apparently, as long as we continue to share with them our progress, they'll continue to give us extensions. We're in an extension period right now. So the property is going through the process of foreclosure. Unless we...
Not yet. It's not going to foreclosure yet. But once Tina gets a letter, then we got 3 weeks to a month. But until she gets that letter, we're good.
Right.
Yes, and this is
Could
like
I suggest that
the
we aren't getting a
milestone,
letter?
No, right. We are fundraising in milestones. That's why this is so important to come into the opportunity and say, okay, I'm in here for the long run as well. So we will be having these kind of milestones. As soon as the opportunity opens next week, we will be fundraising in milestones. So that's why we will be using the first funds to go to this kind of a step one and saving property and then transferring all the ownership to the cooperative.
Yes.
That's our roadmap. That is not deadline, it's more of a roadmap.
We have been sharing that we need to raise this money by the end of the month. But again, as long as we're in communication with the bank, apparently we'll continue to get an extension as long as we show progress. So.
I just had one quick
Well,
question.
then I think we're definitely going to do this.
Is the bank asking for full principal to avoid foreclosure? Banks are often willing to avoid foreclosure cost and the trouble for that by doing a short sale to even a related party. So since you're going to have the DAO buying the property, the DAO could go to the bank and say, you know, would like to buy it for 20% less. I just don't know if you've had those kinds of discussions.
No, not yet. It's not that kind of thinking yet. We are going in steps. So we're not going from 0 to 100, like in this velocity, not at all. We are having this conservative approach too. That's why this is a bridge really from the traditional financing route, this crowdfunding regulation, and the cooperative association, which is a DAO structure, which is conducive to this kind of governance. But we are not doing that with this fast and this velocity, not at all. We are having these steps in mind, and we are doing also traditional finance and accounting and putting into account all these new forms of capital too, which is the membership classes and going into this kind of new consensus and governance. But we are not doing this kind of DAO holding the treasury, which is the equity yet, not at all.
I think the question was, what is the bank asking for? And my understanding based on conversations with Brandon, who's been in conversations with the bank, is they need the $169,000 to answer your question,
Correct.
Mark.
And one of the loans, which is on the solar, is particularly the one that's actually leading the pack in this. It might have been something of a predatory loan. So it's, you know, you could get those details by coming in on a financial meeting. We'd certainly talk to you in detail about every single one of the relationships. But yeah, I think 169 is a fairly accurate number for really, it's kind of the bare minimum in a way. Yeah.
Reiki, I saw your hand up.
Well, I was just interested in exploring what Mark had mentioned because it sounds really interesting that the DAO could actually negotiate with the bank to buy the land at a discount. And maybe that might be more advantageous for us to approach it that way. Anyway, it was just an interesting idea, and I was wondering what you guys thought about that.
All right, being the one who has been here since 2004, that feels dangerous. But I'm okay with that. I've already made the commitment to basically see this experiment through to its natural conclusion. So, and one of the things I would say in support of us not doing that and looking for a discount necessarily is that we will be faced with a lot of people just like me coming to us to help them in a moment of crisis. And negotiating this for the last year has required a tremendous amount of balance acts and interpersonal growth and relationship building. And I think what our intention has been as a core group has been to illustrate the templates that we can create that will allow people to step into this kind of system without as much trauma as telling them that, hey, let's just wait for your place to go into foreclosure and buy it at a discount. So I hear you. And I also feel like we actually really need to make sure that the templates we're creating that are the repeatable aspects of this are the things that are going to be most useful to the people coming after me. Not after me, but like coming in line from where we're at.
So super quick response, Tina, the depth of wisdom you're carrying and holding. Thank you. And yeah, I totally see it that way to approach it from that templating point of view of what's the most natural way to approach this. And yeah, negotiating with the DAO to get a discount. Interesting, creative, but not a template. Great call.
I think at some point we'll be able to do that as a wholesale mechanism. Like I almost feel like that is interesting, but let's do that with a property that's already almost past prime. But let's do that as a community that now has some roadmap, we're setting a pathway, right? And that particular action, I think, would require that we've gone down the pathway of receiving the gift of something like this. And one of the things I think has been really powerful is that we're a small garden. when you're looking in terms of like what it's really going to cost to secure this, and that it's actually like it's got enough equity in it for us to be playfully in this path to do this work without the kind of trauma that could normally be there. I just think it's delightful that we could just do it easily here. And then once we do it here, we can start looking at things like that. Like, what would it mean to come in and offer through a DAO to get properties that are in
One
further-
FYI, on Monday, we have and then I'll post this actually to the Regen Civics group as well, is that we have a open call with a group called Shared Capital, which is a group, it's government funded, community development finance institution, which is a CDFI, which is basically nonprofit banks around, basically nonprofit funds around the country designed to help communities in distress, or for community development for social reasons. And so they actually, one of these CDFIs has formed specifically to fund or loan to cooperatives. So, and that's Ari here on this call has actually already met with them and provided some of the numbers, which is something like a 5 to 6.5% plus a 2% fee. So we have a call with them on Monday, and they encourage multiple people to be on the call because they want this to be a cooperative oriented negotiation. So I'm going to just post that to the Discord on Regen Civics and LaLa and Regen Living, as I say, come join us, and we're going to talk about what are the options for cooperatives loaning from this organization.
Your hand was up, Reiki. Did you have another question?
Well, I had a statement, and it's the wisdom showing up between everyone in this group that's formed for LaLa right now is just phenomenal. So I really love the wisdom and approach that you guys are taking to set this up, the depth of wisdom that each one of you is carrying. So I just got excited and I had a bunch of questions, but then I decided that that's probably going to take more time. So I'm now thinking I'll probably just take it more to Discord and we can keep carrying on there. But yeah, I'm just excited for this, and it's really cool.
Thank you. I'll share the LaLa Gardens Discord invite in the chat. So if anyone wants to join and follow up with messages there, they can. And Mark, I really appreciate your note and explanation there. I'm definitely interested. And yeah, we'll follow up on that for sure.
Well, one of the options was Brandon and Leah. I mean, it's kind of a short sale, I thought, but like it's Brandon and Leah were looking to buy the property in the short term to actually hold it for the cooperative. So it was a short sale of some nature. I'm not sure if there's any, this is how far different from that is.
Yeah. To provide detail, unless Tina, were you gonna provide more
It's
detail?
the darn solar loan. That's it. It's a very, I mean, in fact, we might want to put a legal team together after this is all over and start looking at the details of predatory loans and, come up with some interesting ways to bring true media into this and really go deep on this and deconstruct how this happened. There's just a lot of narrative there anyway, but I think it's the solar loan that's the tricky piece, and that would be a conversation for Brandon. And again, bring it to Discord or come in on the meetings, the weekly meetings, and ask any level of question or suggestions that you like. And Mark, I super appreciate what you brought, so thank you. We'll be talking about that.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up on what Neil mentioned with Brandon and Leah, since some of you know Brandon and Leah Gibbons of Regen Living. They've offered to, or they got pre-approved for a $500,000 loan to support the situation here, but they need to put 100,000 or 20% down. So we were, as a backup plan, if we don't raise the 169, but we raise the 100, that's the 20% down that they would need to get the 500,000. And then the transfer would take place after that from their owning it to the cooperative owning it. And the solar loan, we can get into the details of that, but the original lender of solar sold the loan to another company, and then they tripled the monthly payments immediately after. So that added to the stress of losing income as a result of the pandemic. So
yeah, but as a side note, losing that would not lose it's separate from the property. You would, right? No?
No, they've already, they are the ones that have already started the foreclosure mechanism. So that the short, when you talk about short sale, it might be in terms of that. He's already tried to negotiate on that loan and they say no, because apparently, and again, this is a conversation more in depth with Brandon, but it's tied to the property. So it's like when that trips in, then they can do a short sale, which would drag the other two mortgage companies into the fray, and at that point it would just be a ridiculous cluster.
Right. 2 mortgages and a solar loan. And we do have a friend of mine who's interested in fighting the solar situation because that's her background. So, but good questions. Thank you guys.
Yeah, and templates have always been the way, right? We that's what we're doing together. I mean, it's one of the products, right? The bare minimum viable, as Sydney would be laughing at me about
Bare
right now.
minimum viable.
It's like that's what we're doing. And so, a lot of it has informed a lot of our decisions along the way, is how repeatable is this for people?
Absolutely.
So just quick notes on the solar loan is 95,000 or 100,000 and it's a fairly new one. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't quite understand how it's tied to the property mortgages, but like, yeah, it's unfortunate that if it is, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, as I shared with you, and for those of you who came a little bit later, I'm going to follow up with a recording, my Calendly link if anyone wants to book more time. And then also we have a form for those interested in becoming members or lenders as a follow-up. So you'll see that soon. And I'm sure I'll see many of you in meetings very soon as well. So
Thank you, everyone. See you on the road. Bye-bye.
Bye. Much love.